Hey there, and welcome. Have you ever wanted to describe the world around you in German? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going on a visual journey, starting from the biggest possible picture all the way down to the view right outside your window. Ready? Let's get into it. So I want to kick things off with a question for you. How do you describe your world? Just take a second and think about it. Are you in a busy city, a quiet little village? Are there mountains nearby, or maybe the ocean? By the time we're done here, you'll have the German words for all of it. All right, first up, let's kind of pull back and look at our world from way, way up high. We're going to start with the biggest picture you can imagine, and then slowly zoom our way in, step by step, to see all the details. Our journey starts with the most massive, all-encompassing idea there is, die Welt. Now, this isn't just the physical planet. It's bigger. Think of it as the world of ideas, the world of people, the whole shebang. Okay, now let's zoom in just a touch to our actual physical home, the Erde. This is it, the planet we all share, our amazing blue marble floating out there in space. So you see, we've gone from the abstract concept of Welt to the solid ground of Erde. So what's really cool is how we start to break die Erde down. Our next zoom in brings us to their continent. We're talking about Europe, Asia, Africa. These are the huge landmasses that give our planet its recognizable shape. And for this big picture view, we finally land on das Land, the country. This is the level of nations and borders, and it's the perfect jumping-off point for us to zoom in even further and explore the places where we actually live. So, from that national view, let's just dive right into the heart of all the action, the city. This is where we'll find the words we need to capture that buzzing, vibrant urban life. Every city, or die Stadt, has its own map, right? At its heart, you'll find the center, das Zentrum. From there, you can wander into different districts, or Stadtteile. And hey, here's a quick tip. Stadtteil is literally city part. Stadt plus Teil. Makes perfect sense. The city is all woven together by its streets, die Straße, which often lead to a big open square, or der Platz. With just these words, you can already start building a mental map of any German city. But what's the city's vibe? Is it ancient, filled with stories and history? Then you'd call it historisch. Or is it full of shiny skyscrapers and brand new buildings? That would be modern. See? Two simple words that paint totally different pictures. Of course, a city is more than just its downtown. You've got those green escapes like Der Park. And then you have the engine rooms, the areas of die Industrie. This might be a whole industrial area, das Industriegebiet. There's another one of those compound words, Industrie plus Gebiet, for area. And it's made up of individual factories, or die Fabrik. Okay, let's just take a deep breath of fresh air. We're leaving all that city noise behind us and heading out to explore the vocabulary for a much more peaceful, rural kind of life. If you want to talk about being in the countryside, you absolutely need this phrase, auf dem Land. It literally means on the land, and it's the perfect way to signal that you're out of the city and in a more rural spot. And that brings us to two essential adjectives. If you're talking about something in the city, the word is städtisch. If you're out in the countryside, it's ländlich. Urban versus rural. These two are key for describing where you are. So what will you see auf dem Land? Well, you might find a little Dorf, a village, nestled in a beautiful Landschaft, or landscape. And that landscape might be filled with a thick Wald, which is a forest, a green Wiese, a meadow, or a farmer's Feld, a field. And speaking of farmers, that gets us to the main activity of the countryside, die Landwirtschaft, which is just agriculture. And where does this all happen? On der Bauernhof, the farm. You can actually see how this word is built. Der Bauer is the farmer, and der Hof is the farmstead, the farmer's farm. All right, so we've seen the cities and the farms. Now let's venture out even further, into the wild, untamed parts of nature. What words are we going to need to describe these incredible places? Let's break this down into land and water. On land, you might see one single mountain, der Berg, but a whole chain of them is das Gebirge. That Ge prefix is a good clue that it's a collective group. You'll also see a rolling hügel or hill, and the Tal, the valley down below. Over on the water side, you have the huge Meer, the sea or ocean, the flowing Fluss, the river, the calm See or lake, and the beautiful Küste, the coast where the land and water meet. And how do we describe all this terrain? Well, it could be steil, like a really steep mountainside, or it could be flach, like a flat plain or the calm surface of a lake. These two adjectives are super useful for describing the shape of the land. So we've built the whole set, the cities, the countryside, the wild landscapes. Now it's time to bring it all to life by adding in the plants and animals. Let's tell a quick story of a plant's life with just 4 verbs. First, you plunzen a seed. Then you have to gießen it with water. Pretty soon you'll see it begin to wachsen, to grow. And finally, the best part, you get to see it bloomen, or bloom. See? From a tiny seed to a beautiful flower, those 4 verbs tell the entire story. Now for the animal kingdom. We can kind of group them into a few main categories. You've got Haustiere. Those are the pets we have at home. Then there are the Wildtiere, the wild animals. And of course, we have Vogel, birds, and all the millions of tiny Insekten, insects. Okay, let's get some action words in here. For the animals we live with, we sikkumren om. We take care of them. And of course, we futtern them. We feed them. Out in nature, a bird or Vogel is going to fliegen, and a fish is going to schwimmen. These verbs really put the animal world into motion. You know, this brings us to a really powerful idea from the philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein. He said, "The limits of my language are the limits of my world." In every word we've looked at today, from Welt to Wiese to Wachsen, doesn't just give you a new label. It actually expands the world you're able to see, to understand, and to describe. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Look around you right now. Which of these new words describe your surroundings? Are you in a modern Stadt? Can you see a flach Welt or a steil Hügel from your window? Honestly, the best way to learn these words is to just start using them. So go out there and describe your world.